Welcome to the 2D design tutorial for producing some jewellery. So this is a necklace example, and you can see that it's been made out of acrylic, and on either end of the necklace there are some ways of attaching a chain onto each end of the design. So I'm going to show you a tutorial here which is going to produce this similar design in this love pattern. So we're going to be in 2D design, and I'm just going to scroll down here so we can see the first stage. So the first stage is to produce some text that we want. So I'm just going to use love as an example. Over here are the instructions on the right hand side. So if we can try and follow these, that would help. First of all, double click on the ABC Design text tool, which is over here on the left hand side. There's a lot of tools in this box over here that we can use. So we're looking for the ABC. So if I double click on that, I can then access the settings. So I'm going to choose Berlin Sands, and I'm going to set the height of the text to 20. I'm going to set the line color, so clicking on the color option, make sure that's black, which it is. Okay, and I'm just going to click OK. Now I'm going to position the text. I'm going to drop the text on, so I'm going to click somewhere here, and I'm going to type in what text I want to put in. So this time I'm going to put something like cool. Click OK. There's my text. So that was double clicking on ABC, setting the height and the style and the colour. Perhaps I want to choose a different style. I've got all sorts of different fonts. So I could click OK, click to type the text in. Perhaps I want to use a different word. Click OK. Alright. Next stage. We're going to select this text and we're going to remove the fill from this text. So in order to do that, I'm going to come over to the select option, which is the arrow. So choose the select option, select the text. Okay, so I'm just going to move it down here for a second, using the middle one. So once it's selected, so I'll just try it again, select, pick the text. I'm going to come up to the ribbon bar, this is called the ribbon bar here, and I'm going to click on the word fill, and I'm going to choose from the list here, no fill. And what that's going to do when I click OK is it's going to remove the fill from the word. And if I just click to the side, you'll see that it's now deselected as well. So it's quite simple. If I move this down here, select the word by picking on it, click on the word fill and choose no fill. Okay. Now, can you see how what I want to do is overlap the letters so they're all connected. So here's my original love where they're all separated, and then I'm going to join them all together. So let me show you the example with the love. Just going to copy that for a minute. Here we go. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to use this option here. So select the text and use Start Edit. Okay, so let me go to my text, select the text, and in the very bottom right hand corner of the screen there's an option called Start Edit. So Start Edit, and now the letters go into a low light, and I get these little dots for each individual letter. So I can click on the dot and I can move it over so it overlaps with the other letter. And I'll click on this one and then move it over, click, move on this one, move it over and click. And then if I come down to here, I can click End Edit. So that was pretty easy. If I did it with the cool one, just copy that, move it down. So this is all done in the select option. Just move it there. I'm going to go on to Start Edit, and I'm going to choose the little yellow dot. If I move it over now, that's going to look a bit strange. So what I might choose to do is add it slightly underneath there, and add this one slightly underneath there, and then to make this one similar, I might put it back up again. That looks quite good. So then End Edit. Did you get it? So that was just by selecting and going on to Start Edit. Okay, next stage. We're going to take this text that we've done, so I'm just going to move this one down, just copy this one down here, and we are going to explode the text so that we can trim the letters together. So if you look at my example, there's a gap here, so it's all trimmed, so there's they're all joined together, but there's no lines in between the letters. So what I need to do first of all is select it, which I just did, go up to Edit, and then I'm going to go on to Explode, and it's going to explode that into the 4 separate letters if I just do it by one level only. So continue, and now when I click on them, you'll see that they are individual letters. Now there's an option called the trim tool, the trimming tool. So it's hiding underneath delete any. So if we look over on the left hand side, here's delete any. So if I hold my mouse button down, I can come across to the delete part of an object, and if I click on one of these curves or lines here, you'll see now that it trims them away. So I do the similar thing between the V and the O, and between the V and the E. You might need to zoom in, and the zoom in option is here on the right hand side. Zoom in, click, click, and then use the slider bar to drag it over, and just check you've got all those little bits. There's a little bit there. Click, click. That looks pretty good. Okay, quite happy with that. Zoom out. So our next job is to find a shape that we're going to put onto the end of the word, onto love. So a heart's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to find a picture of a heart. So to do this we use Google. So go into Google and search for a picture of a shape. So if it was a heart, search for your image for a heart, but use this printable word after, so heart printable, and what you'll find is something like this. So if it was soccer printable, or even another shape like a star printable, copy it from the internet and just right click in the program here, and you can paste in your picture. So that'll come in just like this. Then what you want to be doing is selecting it. So use the arrow tools here on the left hand side, select it, and then you can shrink it, of course, using the little yellow squares in the corner, so you can shrink it like this. Okay, so it's a click to shrink, click, click, yeah. Or we can squash it, or we can move it using the middle one. Alright, so when you pick something using the select tool, the select arrow tool, you pick it and you can shrink, you can squash, you can even flip it. Look, you can flip. And this one at the bottom is copy, like copy and paste. So if I click on that, it'll just give me another one. And the middle one is always move. So I click to move it around. If I want to get rid of it, I just press the delete key once it's selected. Or I could use the delete anything option. Okay, so what we're going to do in a second is we're going to trace this image here so that we can use it, because at the minute this here is just a picture off the internet. It's not something that the laser cutter can follow, and it's like a solid picture. So what we're going to do is we're going to trace it. So we're going to end up with this just lines and curves. Okay, and you can see it's see-through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this image that I've got here. I'm just going to copy it down here. Okay, so I've got it down here. So you can see the difference. This one's been traced, that's what I want, and this is the solid picture. Now we're going to use this tool here called the path tool, and that's over on the left hand side here, the path tool. Okay, the path tool's there. Now the path tool is like a click, 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 click your way around a shape. So I'm going to zoom in. Okay, now you can see I've got my step lock on here. It's stepping in that little step-by-step way. So if I come over to the right hand side and take off the step lock by just removing it completely, look, now it's like a free moving now, okay, shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in over here and I'm going to click to start right here. Alright, so I'm on the path tool and I'm going to start here. So I'm going to click, and then I'm just going to keep click, 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 click. Notice that because I'm zoomed in, I can get it pretty accurately as I'm going around. Left click, left click, left click, left click, left click, left click, left click. Now, because there's quite a severe change in direction, can you see? I can't really do anything with that. So if I right click now, just right click, what it's done is it's created me a curve that follows that bit and it stops there. So if I just select this image that I have here and I just press delete, it will reveal that curve that I've just created there underneath. So what I want to do really with that is duplicate it and turn it into a symmetrical shape. So I'm going to pick it. Okay, there it is. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy it using this one. I'm going to move it using the middle one. And then I'm going to choose this one at the top here to flip it. Now I'm going to move it back over the top, and I'm just going to make sure when I click it, keep clicking, that it sort of overlaps. And can you see how these overlap here? Now what I should be able to do now is use my trimming tool, which is here, the second one. So hold the mouse button down on delete any. The second one is the trim tool, and I should be able to come in then and trim these two little bits here and the ones on the outside there. Okay. Now remember, this is still two things, so if I select, you'll see that it's still two halves of that. Okay, so what I need to do now really is to select all that by dragging a box around so it gets the two things, and I go up to edit and I group it together. So now when I select it, it's one thing. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out now, and I'd put this here, select and edit group. So we just did that, didn't we? We just edit grouped it. Now what I said here is shrink it and move it onto your name. So if I just copy that, move it down here, move it down here, I'm just going to shrink it using this one in the corner. Of course, I'm going to shrink it down to a reasonable size. I'm going to move it using this one. Now I'm just going to zoom in. So let's imagine that I was putting it on my model like this one here. What I need to do is select it, move it up, and then I need to turn it somehow. Well, that's this one here on the right hand side. That's rotate. So if I click on rotate, I can just sort of move it round and round and round and click. And if it's not enough, click, 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 and move it around a bit and click it again. So that's how I got it here, overlapping the corner. So you can see that this one, I can move it around, yeah? So as long as it's overlapping, that's quite good. I'll just take that off there by pressing delete. We've got one over the corner, which I could adjust until I'm happy with it, or adjust the size of it by shrinking it, something like that. I've put an image here just to say that's the rotate there on the right hand side. Remember, it's the select. Anything you select, you can copy, rotate, flip, move, stretch, shrink, squash quite easily. So we've got it over one end of the word, and now I want to put it over the other end. So in order to do that, I'll just get rid of that for a minute. I've got one here and I want one on the other end. Well, it's easy. I'm going to select it. I'm going to select this one and I'm going to copy it using the one at the bottom. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to drop it there by clicking, and then I'm going to use the flip over this side to put it on the other side. I'm just going to move that one slightly up so it's over the corner. Select. So that's what I put over here. Select and copy the shape using the arrow tool and the two squares. Is copy, flip it and move it. So we've got two on either end of our word. Then we're going to trim out the bits in between that shape and the word. So we're going to get rid of these bits here. So let me just take this. I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to move it down here so we can do it here on this bit. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to do, and this is what I've got. So I use the delete option here, which is over on the left. So on the right hand side, the trim, and I'm just going to click to remove these options. Oh, undo. I'm just going to trim to remove these. Whoa! So something's not quite right. I'm just going to trim to remove and remove. Aha, that worked. So this one, not worked. If I undo and zoom in, probably what's happened is there's a little gap. So what I might need to do is to just investigate that by selecting it, maybe just moving it down just a touch like that, just to make sure it goes through. Trim, get rid of it, that's better. Okay, just sometimes needs a bit of playing around with. So I'm getting there now. What I need to do now is put the holes in. So the holes can be put in using the circle tool. The circle tool is on the left hand side up here. So the circle tool, hold it down, it's the second one in. So circle tool, and I type in the radius of 2, that's fine. Click OK, and that's like a stamp now. So I would just click and I would click to put the circle in the middle of the shape. Okay, so that's up, but make sure it's in the middle. So you might need to, as I've done, take off step lock and grid lock to do this bit. Normally I prefer to leave one of these on, but in this case it might be better to have it off. So just it's like a free moving circle. Now if everything's gone right, you should be able to fill this in. So in order to do that, I'm just going to select this so I can show you that. I'm going to select all that, copy it, move it down. So if you've done it right, if I zoom in, if you've done it right, we should be able to fill this in to one solid shape, a bit like this one above. So I'm looking for this icon here, which is the fill icon.